Wonka starring Timothée Chalamet came out in December of 2023, and it is a prequel of the classic film starring Gene Wilder that came out in 1971, of course, based on the Roald Dahl's classic children's book, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. There was also a Tim Burton remake of the 1971 film starring our beloved Johnny Depp in 2005. British director Paul King was actually able to go back through Roald Dahl's original writings, research, ideas, concepts he was working on, and decided that instead of making a third remake, he would develop a origin story for Willy Wonka. Fantastic idea. Timothée Chalamet plays a charming young man who thinks he's just gonna show up to London and sell his inventive chocolates, but he very soon discovers that the chocolate industry is controlled by three main chocolate companies. Now, this version of Wonka is actually extremely naive. On his very first night in London, he's manipulated into signing a contract in which he basically signs his life away just for one simple motel room. When he comes back the next day, Mrs. Scrubbit, played by Olivia Colman, explains to him that he's in debt to her for life and gets thrown down into the basement where he meets a band of misfits who also blindly sign this contract and are stuck doing all these chores and laundry for Mrs. Scrubbit. Of course, we can understand how Wonka could be this naive. He had this beautifully charming childhood on a boat with his mom, played by Sally Hawkins, who's just very magical and tells him about her love for chocolate, and he knows that's his purpose in life. He travels around the world before he shows up in London and gathers all these different ingredients and has all these great ideas for his recipes. Along the way, he unwittingly steals a cocoa bean from the Oompa Loompas on some random tropical island, and one Oompa Loompa in particular, who was supposed to be guarding that chocolate, has followed him on his journey. This Oompa Loompa, played by Hugh Grant, miniaturized with CGI. He's witty and British and fantastic. They become partners in crime eventually when he finally gets his chocolate factory in the end. Now, I absolutely loved the wonder, joy, and naivete of this prequel, and that's exactly what Willy Wonka embodies throughout the story. However, Gene Wilder's Wonka in the 1971 film is so intriguing because he's actually not a completely joyful, wholesome character, if you will. He's got an edge to him. He's a little bit sarcastic, playful in a sinister way. He has fun with the kids, knowing that he has them in the palm of his hand because they're not quite sure if he's telling the truth, making a joke,